With the advent of the Industrial Revolution, we reduced our work agreement to one thing and one thing alone. Here was the deal. You come to work, you do what I tell you, and I'm going to pay you some money for it. And when that happened, what happened was the soul just got sucked out of workers all over the world because work became a bit of a wasteland where people were dragging themselves in on Monday morning and then dancing out on Friday. How do we know this is the case? Well, if you look at the numbers across the globe, we have an 85% percentage of people who say they either hate their job or strongly dislike their job. Get your brain around that, 85%. We only have a 15% employee engagement rate. That means 85% of people are just showing up and mailing it in. We have a massive crisis at work, and we've had it for a long time. By the way, over the last few years, we do everything differently. We shop differently, we date differently, we entertain ourselves differently. It's all digital. We pay for things differently. Thank you, PayPal, for helping lead the charge on that. But the one thing that has not changed is work. And guess what? Recent events are forcing us to take a long, hard look. It's estimated that low employee engagement costs us around the globe $7 trillion a year. $7 trillion. So it's time for an evolution at work. It's time for us to really rethink this way we think about work. When Lou Gerstner came to IBM, he said, and he came, by the way, in 1992 because he was going to try to rewrite the company. They were in some serious trouble. They were at risk of going bankrupt. So Gerstner shows up and he said this: when I first got to IBM, I knew that culture was a very important part of the game. Halfway through the project, he said, I changed my mind. Culture was not an important part of the game. Culture is the game. If you don't change the culture, you won't change the company. So the dilemma is this, that we know culture is important. We just heard Daren, the CEO from Uber, say that it was his first priority when he got there. I asked Mark Cuban a few months ago, hey Mark, how important is company culture? He said it's everything. Then he repeated it for emphasis, it's everything. So we know it's a huge deal. One Harvard study showed that companies that get their culture right see an increase of up to 756% in their net profitability over the course of 10 years. Now, who wouldn't want that? So the problem is that only 16% of executives, when they asked them, hey, is your culture where it needs to be? Only 16% said yes. So what is culture? What is this thing? I'm going to give you a paradigm today, a brand new paradigm, which I don't think you'll have heard before. It's a new way to look at culture in a really simple way so that you can evaluate your company culture. You can look at how to implement a company culture that will make your culture epic, and it will be an absolute deal changer for you. So you ready? Okay, so it starts this way. Everybody has a name. Everybody has a couple of names. I mean, pretty much everybody watching this has a first name and a last name at least. My name's Daren Martin. Those two names, though, represent very different things. Your last name is your crew, your clan, your family, your tribe, where you come from. It's your history, it's your legacy. I come from a family of Martins. I grew up with my two parents and my three siblings in Bangkok, of all places. And because of our shared experiences growing up, when we get together, we tell stories, we laugh, we cry, sometimes we argue, but we have all of these memories that are shared memories that represent our last name. We also have first names. I'm Daren. My oldest sister is Debbie. Debbie is a New York Times best-selling steamy romance writer. She writes under the name Sabrina Jeffries, by the way, if we have any romance readers out there. My middle sister, Jamie, lives in Cal City, a little bitty city in the desert in California. She loves to quilt. She loves to take care of her grandkids. She loves to hang out with her friends. My brother, Craig, is a producer, and he actually has a show on PBS right now called The Good Road, a phenomenal show. And then I work with companies to create epic cultures. I'm a culture architect, and I'm a trusted advisor to all sorts of businesses. So even though we have that shared last name, we have these unique things about us. We have different tastes, we have different likes, dislikes, and so many other areas. So when you think about it, you might be out there going, well, what in the world does this have to do with company culture? Here's the beauty of this paradigm. Your company culture is the same. Strong families have strong first names and strong last names. Strong companies have strong last names and strong first names. So what's the last name of your company? Well, for starters, it's the name of your company. I work for XYZ company. It's the name, but it's so much more than that. I mean, when you get down to it, it's really about the shared collective, the essence, what it feels like to walk those hallways, how people are connecting with each other. It is about that sense of enterprise, that we're all in this together. You can tell when companies have great, strong company cultures in a couple of ways. One, people love telling people that they work for that company. They're not embarrassed about it. Secondly, they wear the name. They've got the hat, the shirt, all of those things, and they wear those things when they're not at work because they're proud of the company. I've got a friend that every time she introduces herself, she says, "My name is so-and-so, and I work for the mouse." She's so proud to be connected with that company. You can also tell strong last name cultures because people in the company are actually the recruiters for the company. In fact, if you've got a great company, you don't need a recruiting department. I did a keynote last year for Select Medical, and I was talking to somebody in the coffee line, and she was telling me, "I love working at this company." I said, "Really? Tell me about it." She said, "Oh, my grandmother works there, my cousin works there, my best friend works there." Just started rattling off these people. Why in the world did all those people work there? Because she recruited them. So strong last name companies have a really profound impact in the marketplace. I remember doing some work for a company called Lockton in Dallas. Every Friday, once every year on Friday, they take off for the entire day and they go to the state fair. They load everybody up on buses, they take them out to the state fair, and they have this phenomenal experience. I remember sitting there having a beer with the CEO, Bruce Samuelson, saying, "What a phenomenal thing that y'all have created." Great movie and a great true story about the miracle on ice, if you've seen the movie. The U.S. Olympic team had this big aspiration to beat the Russians in ice hockey in the Olympics, but it was impossible. It was an impossible task. So all these superstars came from all of these colleges. They come together, they form the team. Coach Herb Brooks is coaching them, and guess what? It was bedlam in the locker room. They're fighting with each other. They're competing on the ice. Finally, one day they had an abysmal game. They came to a tie. And coach tells them after the game, get back out on the ice. He starts having them skate burpees and they're going back and forth. They start throwing up. They're exhausted. They've just played a big game. The stadium operator came up and said, "Hey, I got to shut down." And Herb said, "Go ahead, shut down. I'll close it up." So the lights go off. The whole time they're skating, Herb Brooks is berating them. "You think you can win on talent alone? Gentlemen, you don't have enough talent to win on talent alone. When you put on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And the name on the front of that jersey is a hell of a lot more important than the name on the back of that jersey. Get that through your head." Finally, he tells his assistant coach, "Send him again." And he was hesitant. And then out of the darkness, his voice erupts. "Mike Eruzione, Winthrop, Massachusetts." "Herb Brooks, who do you play for?" Mike Eruzione. "I play for the United States of America." Herb Brooks says, "That'll be all, gentlemen," and he walks off the ice. That was the day that they became a team. That was the day that they went from a bunch of whiny hotshots competing with each other to a true team, and they went on to achieve the miraculous, beating the Russians in the semifinals and then going on to win the gold medal. When Mike Eruzione took the stand to receive the gold medal on behalf of the team, he broke years of protocol within the Olympics by inviting the entire team to come up because that's what they had become. That's a strong last name. You also have first names at your company. Do you matter as an individual? Do the people walking the hallways feel like they're important? Because they either feel like they are important or they feel like just another cog in the wheel, as is the case at, unfortunately, so many companies. Think about first name. There's a bank in Texas called Happy Bank. You can actually be fired if you don't take off enough for your children's soccer games, school plays, important family functions. Why? because their employees matter to them and they want them to be invested in their family as well. I was back visiting a hotel that I had done some turnaround work for, and one of the employees, this guy was originally from Ethiopia, he was an incredible person, he comes running up to me, he's pulling out his phone, he's gotta show me something, and he pulls up a picture, he's standing there and he's holding this certificate. He said, "I was named Star Employee of the Month." And with tears in his eyes, he starts saying to me over and over again, "I am so happy. I am so happy." That's the kind of impact that recognition on a first name basis can have in a really profound way. With Access in Dallas, John Olajide is from Nigeria, started this incredible healthcare company, and he's got a great culture going there. I had the opportunity to interview him and to kind of tour the place. I love their facility. I love what they stand for. But one of the things John did was all of the conference rooms in the place are themed according to different continents. So you've got Africa, Middle East, Europe. Why? Because he's got 46 different nationalities represented on his team, and he wants them to feel like they have a vital part. Write this down. Every single person at your company wants these three things. They want to be going, they want to be growing, and they want to be glowing. Now, what do I mean by going? Hey, do they have a path forward? Are they in a position where they're having frequent conversations about what the future looks like for them at the company? Is the company investing in them and their training and new skills and cross-training? Are they helping them progress in their career? They also want to be growing. Now, what's growing? How is growing different from going? It has to do with their own personal development. Here's a great question to ask people. Hey, as a result of you being at our company, do you feel that over the course of the time, you've become a better person? You're more confident. You've got different kind of skills. Is the company investing in things not related to work? Like, can they study Portuguese? Can they write and learn how to write that novel they've always wanted to write? Can they do meditation and learn how to meditate or do yoga? All of these different classes, write poetry, whatever the case may be, and do those things while at work. Are they having opportunities to grow? Because if you invest in them as a person, they will invest in you. And last but not least, they want to be glowing. Nobody wants to go to work to do a bad job, but think about it. This is what Monday looks like for most people, and Friday is, wow! It should be the opposite of that. And if that's not the case in your company, if you're walking the hallways and you're seeing a lot of people dragging themselves along, that means they're not really feeling like their first name matters at the company. So I'm going to close it a little bit with some things, but first of all, let me interject something here. First of all, this is a brand new idea, and you're just getting a quick hit version of it. So I put together some pretty robust notes. They're in my bio. If you would grab those, you'll be able to take a look at more in-depth of this. I would love to hear from you. You've got questions, I want to answer them. I'm offering for everybody on here a free 20-minute culture review if you want to get on a call and we can talk about what's going on there. I've got a survey that I've put together where you can test and see kind of what is the state of your culture from a first name or a last name standpoint. So email me, Daren@DarenMartin.com. The email is in the notes, and I look forward to hearing from you. Really would like to connect with you. You probably don't know the name Richard Montanez. Richard Montanez crossed the border from California, not from California, he obviously crossed from Mexico into California many years ago. He was a young boy. He goes to school the first day, and his mom had sent him with a burrito. He opens his bag. He's embarrassed. He doesn't take it out. He doesn't even want to eat it. He goes back and says, "Mom, so embarrassing. Why can't you make me a sandwich like all the other kids?" His mom the next day has prepared his lunch, and he goes and with anticipation opens the bag. There are not one, but 2 burritos inside. He's appalled. She says, "Son, one of those is for you to eat, and the other one is for you to share with a classmate." By the end of the week, he was making so much money selling burritos because guess what? The other kids were sick of their sandwiches. They wanted something different. He says that they would get together with other families. They picked in the fields all day, and they would get together at night and have dinner, and they would laugh and talk. He said that he didn't understand they were poor because he had never seen how people lived on the, quote, other side of the tracks. He drops out of school. His English isn't good enough. He goes to work. He starts getting odd jobs. One day, he's at a car wash doing his job. Somebody comes in and says, "Hey, Richard, they're hiring down at the plant. You should go see if you can get a job." He goes down there and he does get a job, and he's so proud of himself. He gets a job as the janitor. He had one big aspiration, a job that was really appealing to him because it was air conditioned and because he could sit all day, and that was to be the driver of the garbage truck. Now, by the way, Montanez would tell you that there's no shame in any legitimate work. One day he's out in the plant and he hears Roger Enrico, the CEO, come over the loudspeaker and say, "I want everybody in this company to act like an owner. I want you to act like you own this company." He's standing there and he goes, "Wait a minute, dropout, limited English, immigrant. The CEO is telling me he wants me to act like an owner." And it puffed him up, and he had a new vision and a new image for himself. One day he's out in the plant and the Cheetos are coming off the assembly line, only there's no cheese on them. So he scoops them up, he takes them home. He goes to the kitchen, he starts experimenting with them, starts putting some cayenne and some all sorts of spices. Man, that is really good. He gives them to his neighbors. They love them. Where can we get these? So he calls up, Richard Montanez calls up Roger Enrico's office, gets him on the phone and says, "Hey, I want to share a product with you that I think you might like." Roger Enrico says, "Hey, I'll be at the plant in a couple of weeks. Love to sit down and visit with you." He goes out and buys a $3 tie. Somebody has to tie it for him. He puts together some little packaging and he walks into Roger Enrico's office with all of these executives and shares the product. They didn't like it. They loved it. In fact, most of you know the rest of the story. It went on to be launched as the Flaming Hot series. It opened up a whole new market and made the company billions and billions of dollars. By the way, Richard Montanez went on to become an executive vice president with the Pepsi-Cola company, one of the largest companies in the world. What a phenomenal story. If that's not an incredible first name story. So what happened? He was at a company that had a strong last name. He was proud to work there. He was proud to be a part of the plant. But the CEO had the foresight to came in and say, "Look, it's not just about the company, it's about you. And I want you to bring your A game, and we want your ideas." Now think about it. How many Richard Montanezes are walking your hallways because they're there? And if you will figure out how to tap into them, if you will look at the last name of your company, just ask some basic questions. Hey, are you proud to be a part of this company? Do you tell your friends that you work here? Evaluate your last name and see how strong it is. And then if you will help people believe in themselves and give them that strong sense of first name, you matter, you're important, Richard Montanez, you've got things to contribute to this company. If you'll do both of those, your company will be unstoppable. You'll put yourself in a position to dominate your marketplace. You will be a leader in every stretch of the imagination, and you will have people lined up around the block to come to work at your company. If that seems far-fetched, it's not, because I've seen it happen at companies. If I can come alongside you and help you in any way, but I hope you will seriously go back and ask yourself those two questions. Do we have a strong last name here? And do we have strong first names? Now go build an epic company culture. Let's drive this evolution at work together and make the future of work a much better place for everybody involved. Thank you.